it going, everybody? As you can see, the ZRX1200 is back in business. Man, it feels good to be back on this thing again. I had so much trouble with it, as some of you guys know. If you watch the channel on a regular basis, man, you know I've been through the whole thing about this thing hates ethanol. It just wasn't going to run very well on it, and I may still have some problems to deal with on that in the future, but for now I've got it running right. And let me find a place to park and I will tell you everything I did to it.
If you look closely in previous episodes where I've featured this motorcycle, you'll notice that this looks very, very different. I went stage 3 with it. I used a Dynajet stage 3 kit and also some parts out of a Factory Pro stage 3 kit that I had. I hodgepodged some stuff with the correct tuning, but as you can see, the airbox is gone. It's got pods on it. It's got breathers on it that usually would have been routed to the airbox. I deleted the filter box, the airbox, and all of that stuff, and I could not be happier with the result. It's just because it's been retuned, it's now fully stage 3, and that damn airbox is gone.
I know a cemetery may seem like a strange place to show you these mods, but man, you guys know I like cemeteries, but also what better way to show a bike that's been brought back from the grave than at a cemetery. Now let's show you how it runs. The last video this bike appeared in was the Geocaching on Motorcycles episode, and if you remember, you can tell at the end of that video as we're pulling away, this bike is not running right. It's running terrible, as a matter of fact. It was having trouble idling. 2 of the 4 pilot jets were completely clogged. It had the number 2 cylinder just full of fuel and oil from having to choke it so much. I fouled the number 2 plug. It was only firing intermittently. The bike was just running terrible. In fact, it's just a testament to the fact that Kawasaki makes excellent motorcycles that it was running at all. Now it's running great, and of course I'm in the middle of a residential neighborhood, so I can't be a hooligan, but we may have to break that rule here for just a second. Kind of show you what I got going on here. Went from idling on 2 cylinders and then running, you know, in the cruise range on 3 cylinders, maybe 4 cylinders on a good day, to everything working properly, and it's just a freaking monster now. Let's do a roll and burnout. I love that. You know your bike's running right when it makes you giggle uncontrollably. I'll piss all these people in this rich neighborhood off. Oh look, they're taking pictures for a wedding over there. I'd hate to do anything to offend them. I wish you guys could feel the acceleration of a big bore Kawasaki, especially these old school GPZ motors. Oh man, the ZRX is king forever. So glad I got this thing running right again. For those of you who have been clamoring for me to show this bike again and talk about what I did to it in detail, I teased it a little bit on Instagram, I teased it a little bit on Facebook. Sorry it took me so long to actually make this video. The weather has been sketchy lately. Keep in mind we're in late fall, early winter here in West Texas. It might be a great day, it might be a terrible day. And the weather has been unpredictable so far. But finally I got myself an evening where I could get out and shoot this video, and I think the way to sort of end the video properly, let's go back to the house, have some garage talk, and I will give you the full rundown of this tune and everything I did to the bike and why, because I'm sure there are some people watching the video right now who don't follow the channel on a regular basis, don't know anything about me or this bike, and they're like, what in the hell is he talking about? Well, I'll explain some of this stuff in detail if this is your first time to ever watch a Tim Kreitz video.
If I'm completely honest with myself, the ZRX really hasn't been running right in well over a year, maybe even closer to 2 years. And the worse it ran, the longer I let it sit, and the more I let it sit, the worse it ran. It became the proverbial vicious cycle. This bike hates ethanol-laced fuels, and it's just something that I'm probably going to have to continue to deal with into the future, even though I have it running right now. That's one of the reasons, in addition to the performance gains that I knew I would get, why I decided to go with a Stage 3. Get rid of the filter box, get rid of the air box, get rid of the boots, get rid of everything that makes pulling the carburetors off of a ZRX very difficult. And any of you who are familiar with the ZRX know just how difficult it is to get the carburetors off of the bike with all of that crap on it. For those of you who are interested, here is the tune that I used. I live in West Texas in a semi-arid part of the United States where our actual altitude is about 2,800 feet. The density altitude ranges usually in the cooler months from around 3,200 feet to 4,500 feet during the hot months. And the density altitude can climb much, much higher during heat waves or extremely hot days in excess of 8,000 feet. But you can't really tune for that with carburetors. So I tried to find a happy medium, and the tuning that I'm using works really well. Here's what it is. I'm using the stock needles from the carburetors, and I'm using 2 Factory Pro shims on each one. Each one of those shims are 0.66 millimeters. I jet drilled the stock pilot jets out about 1,000th, maybe more, to clean them out, remove the varnish, and also richen up the low end. I removed the stock main jets and replaced them with Dynajet 130s. The air metering screws were turned completely in after I pulled them and cleaned them, and then I turned them out exactly 2 turns. Now obviously this tune may not work for your motorcycle. In fact, it probably won't. This is what worked for me. There's such a variety of factors that determine whether or not a tune is correct. You're just going to have to experiment and figure out what works for your bike. It depends on engine size, it depends on where you are in the United States, it depends on what kind of carburetors there are. The list goes on, and yes, tuning carburetors to an extent is a bit of an art form. But I just wanted to tell you kind of how I did mine so you can get an idea of what you might have to go through with your bike, especially if it's an older bike and you decide to do a Stage 3 on it. At any rate, I'm happy to report that the ZRX is running great once again. It's running like a madman. Actually, it's running better than it's ever run before, and in a lot of ways, it's kind of like having a brand new motorcycle, which is very cool. I'm looking forward to featuring it more often as I once did, and returning it to its glory once again as a prominent feature in Tim Kreitz Adventures. And I hope you'll come along and watch each episode and enjoy them with me. Until we meet again, thank you guys very much, and hey, the ZRX is back. See you next time.